And we're back. This is the Unleashed Voice on AM KWAM 990 Talk Radio. And this is our hour of information. So before we took our commercial break, we were having a little fun and introducing our guests. We have Earl and Michael Benjamin Robinson. Dr. Donnell Gooch is in the studio today. So we're going to dive into our show and talk about spirituality, David?
No, spiritual warfare.
Spiritual warfare.
How about we're going to talk about how the struggles against evil forces work in our minds and how they work in people with Pastor Gooch, because this is in the Bible about the physical planet Earth and the spiritual realm and how it works together and works against each other and how we deal with spiritual warfare. So what's going on in Cathedral Praise world, and then before we dive into the spiritual warfare, we can go there.
I would like to say that I think that over the 3 years that we've been in existence, we are in our growing pains phase. Being that we started from the ground up, we all are experiencing something new. Being in this particular ministry, no one in the church has actually served in some of these main positions that we have in our church right now, especially me being the head person in charge of the church. I think that seeing all the dynamics as it relates to what it takes to run a ministry, the people, their personalities, all of those has come into fruition with me, and it has enlightened me in some ways, and it has been challenging, being that I've never experienced some of this growing up. I wasn't exposed to certain type of things within the church, being that the church that I come from, although I served in ministry, I wasn't just really deep in the background of making the church flow like it should. With that being said, so we experience issues as it relates to those personality pieces. Individuals may, need counseling. And I think what a lot of the issues are as it relates to some of the things that they're going through has to do with spiritual warfare. Some of the counseling that I've met and spoke with individuals as it relates to what's going on, and they don't understand it right now because they're still new in the ministry, as far as new in the church, not understanding all the dynamics. Some people think that they're experiencing relationship problems because of something that they did wrong, and it very well could be, but it's also, I think, a bigger picture as well. I think it's in 1 Peter, it talks about how Satan comes to this earth, to the world, seeking whom he may devour. And I think that we must understand that there are times when we may not choose our battles. I heard somebody say this past weekend. I think it was Shay. She said that our battles choose us. And when she said that, a light came on to me, and I was like, aha, I think that sometimes there are inner forces that works against us to keep us from accomplishing our goals. Satan or the enemy, whomever you may want to use it as those descriptors, will come in and try to hinder us or hinder our progress from what God is doing in our life, or want to allow us to be blessed, to be prosperous. And sometimes we hit these obstacles in our life, and sometimes individuals don't know how to obtain or handle those particular situations because it's something new to them. They never experienced it before. Some individuals never prayed before, never war in the spirit, as the War Room, that movie that we watched a couple of weeks ago. That was a primary example of spiritual warfare in its finest.
Well, self-hate is real.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
that's right.
And dealing with us within the community, black folks, LGBTQ people, self-hate is real.
It is.
And that starts a lot of the spiritual warfare.
Earl, you did the I've been waiting on you at the door here.
Come on, Earl.
I mean, I ditto. I mean, I totally
turn it
believe.
toward you.
Okay,
if you need
I
to.
totally believe that. We see it every day. We see it in people putting themselves at risk for HIV. We see it in people choosing to be in relationships with individuals that they know aren't necessarily good for them. And so it has a way, self-hate has a way of manifesting itself in many different ways. And so we see it every day. And it is a part of the LGBT experience. And it's something that we don't talk enough about. And so I'm just glad that we have this opportunity today to, just share a little information about it. It might help people to understand that, it is something real. It is something that is happening. And, you don't necessarily have to stay there. You can grow up and out of it. But, yeah, you're right. Self-hate is very, very much real.
I don't know how I could add anything to that because I totally agree. I mean, self-hate is certainly a real thing in our community that we have to face every day, and you see it, as Earl mentioned, in various aspects of our culture and our community, when it comes to disease, when it comes to drug abuse, when it comes to domestic violence. We have allowed ourselves to stay in a place where we're comfortable with hating ourselves and hating our brothers and sisters. And so we have to do a paradigm shift in our community so that we know that we are loved by God, by ourselves, and begin to manifest that in the way that we behave in our communities.
Oh, you stole my thunder.
Oh,
You
I'm
said
sorry.
paradigm shift. Oh my God, I had that going on this morning with some guys that I work with, and just breaking down exactly what a paradigm is.
Well, break it down again.
The paradigm is your habits
Okay.
and how your habits are influenced by your outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And those things come in and shape and mold our belief system.
Uh-huh.
And then it becomes our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And we become victim of our circumstances because it's things that go on around you that will give you validation and confirmation that this is real. And it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's lies.
Mm-hmm.
And then we begin to have an embedded belief and a strong embedded belief system with a lot of faulty thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what is real. You see it every day in our prison systems.
Mm-hmm.
The way I asked 20 men, what did they want to be when they were little boys?
Mm-hmm.
How they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I had two to tell me. One said, I wanted to be a drug dealer,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one said a bank robber.
Mm.
I said, how can you say that at 7? Well, I really forgot that by age 7, what goes in is we're like sponges, and we soak that up. So the paradigm is already being set. Because hypothetically, I'll give you one real quick. Imagine you were born in Memphis, Tennessee, and your mom left you and somebody adopted you. And it was a family from Japan. Well, if they took you and raised you in Japan, and you spent your whole life there, you would have no recollection of Memphis, Tennessee or South Memphis.
Right.
You would be fluent in Japan,
Right.
probably a Buddhist or a Hinduism, and you would have that culture. You wouldn't know nothing about South Memphis or Memphis, Tennessee unless you came home. The only difference you would know is that you would be black instead of looking like all these
Right.
other people. So my outside influence would be influenced by Japanese. But I'm really from Memphis, Tennessee. But what we have here, we have people that live in the community and their culture and what goes in, the parents and everybody around them, and that what starts your paradigm. It becomes the habit, and you do it over and over and over again. Then it becomes your truth and your reality. People around you will confirm it because there's a cliche that says you're most like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if that's what you see, then my daddy taught me how to be a drug dealer. They encouraged me to join the game. I see abuse all around me, so that's normal for women to be abused. I'm a man, and that's normal for me to beat the bleep out of my wife because my daddy beat my mama and everybody around me. I was raised with alcoholics. They encouraged that. Everybody around me still, this is my reality. Ain't nobody straight. You hear that all the time. You hear it on a rap song. You know what goes in is real dangerous. It's real dangerous.
That's very powerful what you just said. As a public health practitioner, we talk about that a lot, and we call them social determinants of health. Those things that affect your health outcome, your well-being, and oftentimes when you talk about the social ills, or when we see social ills being discussed on news media, they just talk about all the negative things that are happening, but they don't really talk about those factors inside the community that contribute to that. Because what needs to take place is people need to really start to develop initiatives, plans, programs to stop many of those things that are happening inside these communities, so that individuals, so that these little boys, so those two little boys who said that they were wanted to be a bank robber and a drug dealer, so that they see that there are other things that I can become. Those guys, as you stated, are just a product of their environment.
Exactly.
And if we cannot change those environments that they are coming from, then we're helping to exacerbate the cycle that they're in.
And I think that when you do have organizations or groups that actually take on the responsibility to actually help and to empower those individuals to do better, I think the problem is that when they leave you and then they go back into that environment and there's no change within that particular environment from their parents are going to teach them the total opposite of what you just taught them. And so now it's like they're going back and forth, which one is right.
Well, what you have to do, we have learned through our nonprofit.
Well, hold on, stop right there. We got to take a pause, our last break. So hold that nonprofit, stop what you learned, and whatever you just said. We'll be right back. This is our second break, our last break for the show.
Stop my thunder.
We're having a great conversation with Earl Mike, Dr. Gooch, Ms. GQ William Clemens. This is the Unlea Voice on KWAM 990 Talk Radio, the realest show on KWAM. We'll be right back.